safe streets, vibrant neighborhoods, successful business and commerce. These are things that make a healthy community. We are a diverse community, rural, suburban, urban, a multitude of languages and ethnicities, ages and experiences. We are a collaborative community. Public-private partnerships make us a model community that others want to follow. It is what makes us unique. It is what makes us strong. The employees of Kent County reflect our diversity and seek to serve our communities.
People in this county, in this area, we wrap our arms around each other. We come together to collaborate, to solve problems. We're all working for the good of the whole. And I think that's wonderful. And you can see it. You can see it as you drive around Kent County.
Our impact starts the day a baby is born and a birth certificate is issued, to protecting children from deadly diseases through vaccination, to the public safety and justice provided by law enforcement and the courts, to offering veteran services and caring for the elderly. Every day we work to keep our communities robust.
I think if you are somebody who is interested in serving your community, in building a strong knowledge base and a good group of people to work with, then the county is one of your best employment opportunities out there. It's been completely rewarding in every way I could possibly explain for 26 years, and I feel like I grow every single day still today.
Leading these dedicated employees, our 19-member Board of Commissioners and our County Administrator Controller, along with our elected officials and appointed department directors, placing emphasis on civic involvement, quality housing, vibrant neighborhoods, and strong, solid infrastructure to allow businesses to thrive. Professional, dedicated, collaborative, and innovative.
Behind the scenes, collaboration between foundations, charitable organizations, nonprofits, for-profit businesses, public sector demonstrated through the county, the city of Grand Rapids, the townships, all the cities and the villages in our area. If we don't come together, then we will not have the strength that we have today, and I only hope to build upon that.
Our aim is to make our communities the best they can be. We are involved in exciting development projects, sustainable recycling programs, and creative progressive prevention programming. We partner with elected officials, impacting policy ideas that become great achievements. We seek opportunities to reach out into the community and offer our services to help our residents make Kent County thrive.
Our relationship is solid, both from a staff standpoint at the county level as well as the Board of Commissioners. And they understand what we do and the benefits that we can do for the community, and vice versa. We couldn't do what we do without the help of Kent County.
While most of us are busy running our lives, Kent County's elected officials, administrator controller, and over 1,600 employees are serving the communities where we live our lives, so we can all have a place we are proud to call home. Kent County, its life well run.
Good morning. It is my pleasure to welcome everyone to the Finance and Physical Resources Committee meeting. It is Tuesday, November 19th at 8:30 a.m. I'd like to welcome my fellow commissioners, staff, and guests we have today in the audience. Thank you so much for taking your time to come to our Finance and Physical Resources Committee meeting. With that, I'm going to open up public comment. Is there any public that would like to address the Finance and Physical Resources Committee this morning? Okay, seeing none, we will close public comment. Will take us to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Anything have to be pulled? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. That brings us to item number 3 from the Administrator's Office. Wayman.
Yes, this is a request to recommend to the Board of Commissioners to authorize the board chair or designee to sign the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission grant and approve grant extensions, amendments, and increases up to 15% of the original award. In 2013, the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission Act was passed, which requires trial courts and their associated funding units throughout the state to ensure indigent defendants in criminal actions have a constitutionally required level of legal defense. The the MIDC Act requires the state to provide funding for required activities which comply with newly defined indigent defense standards. and exceed a funding unit's historic indigent defense spending during a previous 3-year period. Kent County submitted its plan to the MIDC for ongoing support of the first 4 standards on behalf of the 17th Circuit Court and 63rd District Courts. The plan was approved by the MIDC in mid-2019. The MIDC grant, along with the county's local share, will be placed into a special project fund that can only be used for spending on indigent defense. The grant amount for the county's $4.3 million, and the county's local share is capped for this grant year at $2.4 million. The grant period is from October 1, 2019 to September 30, 2020. The grant agreement will be reviewed and approved as to form by corporate counsel prior to submission for signature.
Thank you, Wayman. Is there a motion to approve? So moved. Moved and supported. Questions, comments, and discussion? Yes, Commissioner Bolkowski.
Thank you, Chair. Question concerning the timing of the payment and which budget this is in. I assume it was either in the 19 or the 20 budget, or a little bit of both?
And let's have Craig Paul, who's been spearheading our effort to answer all the questions related to this. He can handle
Good morning. So this grant runs on the state fiscal cycle, okay, and so the indigent defense budget actually is among the 10-1 budgets that were approved earlier.
Okay.
Okay, and this is a disbursement grant, so we get it in 3 different portions over the course of the October through September grant period.
Go ahead.
So from a cash flow perspective, are we fronting payments into this special fund and the state reimburses?
We've started fronting just because of a timing issue, but we get, once we sign the grant agreement, we'll get 50% of the grant dispersed, and then we'll get 25% and then 25%. So it's actually a disbursement grant and not a reimbursement grant.
Okay, and then it's in the 2020 budget, but the 10-1 budgets we've approved.
Correct.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. That brings us to item number 4 from the Department of Health and Human Services. Wayman?
Yes, this is a request to the Board of Commissioners to allocate $397,000 in funding for human services programs and recommended, as recommended by the Department of Health and Human Services Board. The Board of Commissioners annually appropriates funds to the Department of Health and Human Services through an open request for proposals process. Funds are rewarded by the DHHS Board following a review of the proposals submitted by various community or social service agencies. Programs and services included in the current unmet needs category are those agencies and programs that annually receive assistance due to an absence of other funding sources, their ability to leverage significant other resources, or are in support of a cooperative effort of multiple funding sources. The 2020 recommendation includes $397,000 to fund 16 programs for current unmet needs.
Is there a motion to approve? Okay, moved and supported. Questions, comments, and discussion? Yes, Commissioner Morgan?
Yes, thanks, Madam Chair. Like every year, I just have to mention this is a program that comes out of our general fund. It's something we do that's special. It's something we've been doing for a long time, and I'm sure that even when we had some tough financial times in Kent County that I remember, we were able to do this program. So,
Right, we're unique in Kent County, and the program has been in existence way before I arrived, and the board had saw to it, had wisdom then, and still does now. These programs actually help to leverage other resources in the community, and these are resources that otherwise wouldn't be available to the community to spark innovative programs to deal with the needy in our community.
Commissioner Womack?
Yes, I'll definitely be voting for this, and I think it's just great that Kent County participates in keeping these programs open. I had a small community meeting, and we brought this up to see how many of these 15 programs that about 20 members of the community knew about, and they knew about half of them. And definitely they knew about Degage Ministries, all the greatness they're doing, and a lot of other ones they knew a lot about, and there were some they didn't know anything about. And I just felt that it would be great for me or some of the community to visit each one of these programs so we can get the message out into the community better on how these programs are working. And they ask how some of them affected the community. So I'm going to be giving these agencies a call, and hopefully they'll have open door policy so the community can find out more about them. But I'm just proud that Kent County is going to continue to be a part of that, and I'll definitely support it.
Yes, Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had just a question about the history of this budget. It appears, just looking at 18, 19, and 20, we roughly hover around 380, 390. Is that determined by a calculus like our CIP budget that's based on a portion of the mill, or is it simply this is how much we've appropriated every year and we're just going to keep doing that?
Yeah, we look back and the previous year, 2 or 3 previous years, as we try to identify budgets for every department, and that becomes like a bogey.
Okay.
Sometimes they'll ask for more. We work through those requests. We take them through the process, as you've all gone through the budget review process. Sometimes it ends up being a little larger, sometimes it's a little shorter, but that's the process.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Commissioner Bukowski.
Thank you, Chair. Definitely agreed that this is very good for us to do. And following up on Wayman's comment about how much this leverages, just a note for 2021 to, maybe add a column of what it leverages. And some of these, like 211, this is probably a relatively small portion of that budget. It'd be hard to tease out what this actually funds, but some of these, would have
Yeah.
a lot bigger proportional impact.
Perhaps we could
So,
ask staff to do.
I mean, I'm sure that's in the proposal, so
Mhm.
hopefully it's not too much.
We could probably provide an update to the board at the next time I send out my update to capture that for everyone so that they have a good idea about that.
If you got the time and it's a priority, again, just next year when you're
Sure.
making another Excel spreadsheet, add a column. That's all I need.
Okay.
Commissioner Womack.
Thank you. I forgot to mention one thing they were aware of and very happy about was the Alpha Grand Rapids pregnancy education and anything that has helped narrow that gap between the infant mortality rate and help bring that over. And, just the success in Kent County of bringing down the infant mortality rate. So that was one thing that I forgot to mention. They were very happy to see that Kent County was a part of funding Alpha Grand Rapids.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, Matthew, I'm going to have you come up because I've got a couple questions I want to have you go through. So why don't you just take a minute and go through the process? So are we looking at all the applications that came in?
So maybe Sandra Gostin-Jones can join me up here too, because
Sure.
she did that, the work with DHHS on it. Yeah, all the programs are identified that we received asks for in your chart. So we showed those to you.
And the ones that have a line through?
Are not being funded.
Okay,
They're not being funded or they did not request funds this year. We left them on, from a historical perspective, we like for you to be able to see who has received funding in the past and who has asked for funding. So if you see a line through and it's zeroed out, then they either didn't ask for funds or they were not funded for this year.
so I think for future, I'd like to have those kind of go to the end of the spreadsheet and be listed, didn't request or not funded, and then have those separated out instead of just a line through it. Is that okay? Great, that would just clean it up a little bit better. But the process went well. Do you have a team of people that look at all this?
There is an extensive process. We work with Cal in purchasing to issue the RFPs. The RFPs go out to all of these agencies and to other agencies throughout the community who might be interested in requesting funds. At that time, I meet with the DHHS board locally to create a timeline, discuss how we're going to move forward in the process. Once all of the proposals come in, we work with central services to print them out, put them in binders, or we put them on a flash drive to get them to the DHHS board so they have an opportunity to vet all of them. And we see everything that comes in, whether it met the criteria or not. We think it's important for the DHHS board to see everything that comes in so they can make a determination for themselves. I am not a voting member to decide on these funds. I provide staff support and information.
Okay. Commissioner Antor, you have a question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just real quickly on these agencies that didn't request anything, what triggers that in them? Is that just their own decision?
That's their own decision. Maybe because they didn't get funded previously, they decide not to, or they just didn't need the funding. But traditionally, certain services are prioritized, especially like homeless outreach, 211, different things like that. There's just some core services that are really essential for this that we have to keep funding. But there's usually some new services or different services that rotate through.
I'm just wondering if any of these other agencies maybe didn't need anything, but they requested because it's something they've always done. Is there any type of, I guess?
Look at their full budget and look at how much work and load there is in requests for services. Yeah.
You monitor that?
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you so much. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion passes. That brings us to item number 5 from Fiscal Services. Wayman?
Yeah, Steve, you want to come up and do the quarterly financial update for us? That would be wonderful. Steve Duarte is here.
Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Chair. Today I wanted to give a third quarter update to the general fund through September 30th of this year. I believe if you open to page 2, we'll go through some of the highlights for the quarter. The budget provides for a 2.5% increase over prior year actuals from $176.3 million to $180.7 million. Year-to-date actuals, we have a decline of 4.3% from 146.7 to 140.4. Going to the significant revenue variances, I'll always go from top to bottom. Taxes have decreased from 85.1 to 79.2 million, or 6.9%. This is just a timing issue. I can assure you, I've watched after September 30th. We collected, we're on track, so there's nothing to worry about. It's just the timing when it hit the books. Intergovernmental revenues have increased from 14.8 million to 16.5 million, or 11.6%. This is primarily due to the timing of the local community stabilization share. It's just showing up on the books at a different time this year. So at this point, we're showing ahead, but it'll even out by the end of the year. Other revenue has decreased from 8.6 million to 4.4 million, or 49%. Primary reason for this decrease is that in 2018, the county sold the North Monroe property at about 3.3 million and the parking lot for about 1.6 million. No such sales took place this year, so you've seen a big fall off in that particular area. Any questions on the revenue side? On the expenditure side, the budget provides for a 5.1% increase from 172.6 to 181.4 million. Year to date, expenditures are up 2.2% from 126.4 to 129.1. And before I go over to the significant variances in expenditures, if you look at the 2019 bottom row there, you'll see $11.2 million surplus at this point. I spent time showing you the other quarters where we were behind. Now at the third quarter, where we got that concentrated inflow of taxes, we have a surplus. As I told you the last time, don't worry about the deficit. We'll be all right. I'm going to tell you, we're not going to have $11.2 million surplus at the end of the year, because the final quarter we'll actually start spending more than we're taking in again, okay? But I did want to be, in fairness of disclosures, to show you that. If you take that and go to page 5 and add it to our current fund balance, that would say today, if we close the books with no adjustments, which doesn't happen, we'd be sitting at about 85.8 million. Significant expenditure variances are wage category has increased from 46.2 million to 47.4 million, or 2.6%. This would appear to be in line with our wage adjustments and our agreements, which were in the 2.5% range, okay? The OPEB category decreased from 1.7 million to 1.4 million, or 16.7%. Primary reason for this was a decrease in the contribution rate, dropped from 3.59 to 2.92. However, we did an experience study this past year, and we've made some changes in the assumption. You will see a 3.34% rate. So the rate's going back up for 2020. Any questions, sir?
Yes, Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Steve, that's fluctuating. Can we just hold 3.3%, or each year you have a formula that?
We want to do it by what the actuary says we should do, okay? We're actuarially funding this. I don't expect you'll see that type of fluctuation every year, but we made some decisions on healthcare assumptions, investment rate of return we lowered from 7% to 6.75%, so that had an impact. But we'll be holding that. You'll do another experience study probably in 5 years. Okay?
Yes, Commissioner Bukowski.
Since we're talking OPEB, that's closed now, right? The period till we get 100%, that liability that we have in OPEB,
Yep.
that period's now closed, right? It's not a rolling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
We're
I don't know how to ask the
yes,
question.
We're
Yeah.
using a closed amortization period. And I believe we're now down to 21 years, I think, because we started at 23, we'll keep going down. At some point, you have to reevaluate it, because you keep doing that, you have to take a look at the liability, sometimes you readjust it, but right now it's closed and going down, and we're complying with everything that state expects us to do with their new reporting requirements. Okay? In fact, we're a little bit ahead of the game. The other employee benefits category increased from 1.8 million to 2.0 million, or 10.7%. Primary reason for this change is an increase in dental rates to maintain operating capital in the insurance fund. Okay, we self-fund, sometimes we hit it right on, we set rate, sometimes we hit it right on, sometimes we don't. We have an actuarial model that says this is how much money we should have set aside. We're a little on the light side this time, so we have to increase the rate internally. It's a county rate. The capital category has increased from 1.7 million to 2.1, or 21.9%. Primary reason for this is due to an increase in the number of vehicles we purchased, primarily for the Sheriff's Department. We end up buying 6 more vehicles. That costs us about $217,000. And the purchase replacement computers necessitated by an upgrade to Windows 10. Windows 7 went to end of life. We have been buying licenses to upgrade to 10, but there are some machines that are physically can't be upgraded and run 10. So we made some mass purchases, or not mass purchases, but large purchases, larger than I would expect, to get those old machines out the door. Because Microsoft, in their kindness to us, would continue to support them for a limited period of time if we want to pay so much per machine to do it. We opted to get ourselves as close as we could to have all our machines up and running, so we didn't have to pay Microsoft. And that probably is about $178,000 that we had to invest in that, okay? Any questions on the expenditures? If not, let's turn to page 6 and 7 and take a look at the cash flow. Page 6, if you look at next to the last row, total available to meet general fund cash flow requirements is dropped from $83.8 million to $80.3 million. It's about a $3.5 million drop year over year. That varies from year to year. Nothing that concerns me at this point. Cash reserves expressed in days of coverage, we're down from 119 days to about 112 days. Still adequate in my book for where we're at. Just to give you kind of a magnitude, we spend, if you divide by 365, we spend about $700,000 a day. So we have strong cash flow needs. If you look to page 7, we depict this graphically. The red line shows the 2019 available to meet cash flow requirements. As you can see, we're in that period. Our low point was in June. We had about $26.9 million there. It is now at its high point. We're at about 80.3 up there. And over the last quarter, as I said, we'll spend more than we take in, and you see it will drop down. I expect the red line will probably end up somewhere between 17 and 18. That shape of that line doesn't change much. It may move up and down a little bit, but it's the pattern for which we use for our business. Any questions on that?
Yes, Commissioner Antor.
Morning, Steve.
Morning, sir.
When you retire, are you going to give us a good deal on consultation fees?
Good question, Commissioner Antor.
I mean, Microsoft, you said, gave us a good deal,
You
so.
probably could, yeah, Microsoft. Yeah,
Okay,
could
you
probably
give us
get
a deal like
raise at
Microsoft. All right.
The one thing I want to say is I'll probably be back next week with a transfer for you folks. We've been talking all year about some projects we want to do, and we need to put some more money into strategic capital. And that transfer will come to you folks next week saying somewhere, probably asking to do an up to, so that we can make sure that we have the amount of money we need to keep our fund balance and policy in, but move it into strategic capital. Why would I do that? If I leave it in the general fund has an artificial life of 1 year, and that money will lapse into fund balance. And if it lapses into fund balance, the only way to get it back out, all other things being equal, is the deficit spend. I assume in an election year, you guys don't want a deficit, and it's just not something we want to have anyway. I mean, I make a joke of that, but I think we don't want to do that.
That's just not funny, Steve.
We can move.
Yeah.
This is not funny.
We move it into the capital projects fund, then that's a life to date till the projects are done. If we put it in strategic capital, I really see that as a holding account for you. And then as we get the dollar amounts that we want to spend on the individual project, for instance, if we decide to do the North Substation, we'll come in and say, okay, North Substation costs $10 million, make up a number. We'll move strategic capital money into the specific project called North Substation and run it from there. We will move no money out of the strategic capital without a vote of this board. Ever since we set it up, there's never been any money moved out of that without bringing it back to the board.
Yes, Commissioner Morgan.
Morning, Steve. But the advantage to the strategic capital fund is it can lapse over years, right?
Well, the strategic capital
Carries
fund,
over years, not lapses. But
strategic capital fund, or isn't a fund, it's a line item within the capital projects fund, okay? And that, in the capital projects fund, you can keep that budget alive until the project's completed.
right.
Okay, we don't want to keep the money too long in strategic capital because you're not moving towards completing a project. Your auditors will give you a problem. But we've only built that number up to last 2.5 years. But now it's time to come back to you with specific projects and move it out and start get the construction going.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, Commissioner Bukowski.
Yes, so as was noted, this could be one of your last times before us. Probably the thing that I've liked least about you is that you hate telling us the future. You like giving us certainty of today. So to make you uncomfortable, what do you think our fund balance at the end of the fiscal year could be, and then what that transfer up to could be? Or do you just want to keep us in suspense?
No, I think, no, just to get my crystal ball out. I'm going to say you're going to have to let fund balance grow a couple million to stay in conformance with your policy. So I would expect something in that range, okay? And then I would expect that we will be able to move somewhere between 5.5 to 7 million out into strategic capital, which you're going to need, because you got 3 projects you're going to, that are going to total a pretty good number if you want to be able to complete them. Certainly, we want to be able to complete our number 1 priority, but I'm hopefully we'll be able to do all 3.
Yes, Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. By saying complete all 3, are you saying we'll be able to complete all 3 purely through the transfer to strategic capital, or a combination of strategic capital and bonding?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Forgive me. I was asking by moving the 5.5 to 7.5 million to strategic capital, that means that we'd be able to fund all 3 of these projects purely with cash and not necessarily have to bond out for them, or do you expect a combination of the 2?
That part, I gotta tell you, I can't guarantee.
Okay, yeah.
We stand with about 8.8. We got about a little over 3 million budgeted next year to go in there, plus what I'm talking about now. So I'm confident we can do 2. I'm hopeful we can do 3.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
All right. Okay, anyone else? Yes, Commissioner Wooden.
I just wanted to note and thank Mr. Duarte for what could be his last financial report, but just wanted to note that when you mentioned deficit, you increased the chances of the good commissioner from Grand Rapids getting on his soapbox again. So for those of us who have to get to work after this, I humbly ask that you avoid getting him on his soapbox in the future. But thank you again.
All those words that trigger.
Okay, anyone else? So you are with us with your current arrangement until December 31st, is that correct?
I missed that.
You're with us till December 31st?
Yes.
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 Okay,
2021.
right. Great. Well, thank you, Steve.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, let me go back to our agenda here. That was a very informative financial status report. Let's go to item number 6, miscellaneous. Is there any Commissioner miscellaneous this morning? Yes, Commissioner Bolkowski.
I didn't pull it out of consent. I wanted to thank Wayman for giving us the meal pattern, which I assume relates to the milk meal grant. I think we had questions last year about who defines nutrition and all of
Yes, I
that. So
remember.
thank you for giving that information to us.
You're welcome.
Okay, anyone else for miscellaneous this morning? Yes, Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to extend my sympathies to Sheriff LaJoy Young and her family, given last week's tragedy, and please hope that she knows that I and my family are praying for her. I'm sure many of your families are as well, and just wanted to extend my sympathies.
Commissioner Morgan?
I just didn't want to jump on your miscellaneous, so you're going to welcome Jeff Doe, then I'll just.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay. Anyone else for miscellaneous? Believe our administrator has a miscellaneous item?
Yes, the announcement about Jeff Doe occurred a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and he's here today. Jeff, you want to stand up and introduce, I want to come on up to the podium, if everybody get a chance to see Jeff. He will be coming on board. He started yesterday and working right now with Steve, getting to know the organization, and so this is our new Fiscal Services Director,
Deja vu all over.
Jeff Doe.
Yeah, Roger and I have known each other a little while, so, yeah.
Oh, Jeff, we do this with everyone who replaces Steve, so just know that it's, yeah. So this is the process. Welcome.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Why don't you take a few minutes and share what you'd like to share with us and a
Yeah,
little
just
background?
A little background, yeah, sure. I'm from West Michigan. I grew up in Hudsonville. I've lived in Rockford for about 24 years now. I worked in local government for about 21 now, going on 22. Started at Cedar Springs and then to Rockford and then to East Grand Rapids and most recently at the City of Grand Rapids. same complex right next door, so I'm very excited to be here. I'm married and I have 3 daughters, all in college, so they're very expensive. But, yeah. And how do you pronounce my name, Commissioner Womack?
On the African American Festival committee that he's on, we pronounce it Jeff Dude. Then in City Hall, we say Jeff Doe. Hey, I'm going to enjoy continuing to work with you, and this is just a great guy. Not only can he get the numbers right, he's very good at communicating with people and breaking it down in layman terms for the community, and he's accessible to the community. They know him. I think it's a great hire for Kent County.
So do you like New York?
Sorry?
Do you like New York? Because eventually you have to go to New York.
Oh, New York, yes.
Do you like New York?
I've never been, so.
Well, there you go.
Yes.
It's all right for like 3 days.
All right, anyone else? Yes, Commissioner Wooden.
One is someone who lived in New York for 11 years. It's better for them for 3 days, but hope you enjoy it. But also, as the other guy with 2 O's in his name who has his last name mispronounced several times, I can just extend my sympathies. And but welcome aboard, and excited to have you here.
Okay, anyone else? Yes, Commissioner Sparks.
Welcome.
Okay, that sums it up nicely. Thank you so much. With that, we are adjourned. Our next meeting date is December 3rd.
I am Kent County. I am Kent County.
I am Kent County.
We are 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 Kent County. Ami, Kent County.
Somos Kent County.
Mas Ira, Kent County.
We are Kent County. We are Kent County. We are Kent County. Oh yeah.